Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going over the GobbleGums and Black Ops 3 Zombies, and this is going to be every single one in the game that isn't including the whimsical GobbleGums. I don't know about y'all, but I'm a pretty big gumball fan. I gotta be honest with you. I like the aesthetics of gumballs in Black Ops 3, but I also just like the real taste of gumballs in real life, so went and got some more the other day.
$1.25. It's $1 at the other store.
This one's green. I'll take a green one. Anyways, we're going to go into a criteria for Black Ops 3 GobbleGums real quick. This is a combo list. We're going to kind of have three GobbleGum lists kind of in one. One for Classic, one for Mega, and then the overall ranking, obviously. So everything's going to have two different rankings. So that's why you'll see two different numbers on each GobbleGum's going to have two different rankings. So that's why you'll see two different numbers on the GobbleGums. If a Classic Gum and a Mega Gum are tied in quality, the Classic will usually win since it has unlimited uses. This kind of applies to also ultra rare Megas and then just regular Megas. Basically stuff that is easier to access. It'll probably have a slight advantage if they're both tied in quality. We're more so looking for regular play and high rounds, but Easter egg effectiveness does matter too. It's just that the high rounds will have the advantage in this list. GobbleGums that help for high rounds are more important than the ones that help in the early round setup. GobbleGums that require co-op play will be at a little bit of a disadvantage because there's some GobbleGums in this game that you can only use in co-op play. And since solo is the most played mode in this game, it's going to be kind of important that you have GobbleGums that you use in solo and that are good in solo and co-op rather than just co-op. The final bit of criteria we have for this list is that glitches of any kind will not help. So if a GobbleGum has a specific glitch that helps it just immensely or makes you invincible or whatever, we're not going to take that into account. I'm going to go over every color of GobbleGum in this game because, as you know, there's 4 different colors. There's purple, blue, green, and orange. The purple one, what it will do is that you will have it and it will activate whenever you press up on the D-pad. So, for example, in plain sight, whenever you want to use it, you'll hit up on the D-pad. And when you do that, you'll activate the in plain sight, making it to, oh my gosh, dude, I can't freaking speak with this gum in my mouth. Basically, it'll activate whenever you hit up on the D-pad. And when you do that, you'll use an activation of in plain sight. That's how the purple GobbleGums work. Blue GobbleGums will activate immediately, and the way they work is that they will last the rest of the round that they are on, as well as the amount of full rounds that it says it has. So, for example, Always Done Swiftly lasts 3 full rounds. In reality, it can last about 3.5 to 4 rounds if you use your Always Done Swiftly correctly. When it says last 3 full rounds, you'll get the GobbleGum, and it'll last for the rest of that round that you're on. Plus, it'll last however many full rounds that it says it does. So for blue GobbleGums in this game, what we'll do for this list is we'll just say it lasts so-and-so amount of rounds and a half. So for example, Always Done Swiftly, we'll say it lasts 3.5 rounds. Green GobbleGums are time limit based. Once you use them and activate them, they activate immediately and they are, like I said, they're time limit based. An example would be stock option. It lasts 3 minutes, so the moment that you use stock option, 3 minutes goes by and it's gone. That's for every green GobbleGum in the game. Orange GobbleGums activate whenever you use a specific type of action. An example of this would be Arms Grace. Once you, let's say you go down a co-op game and then you die, you respawn, and Arms Grace that's when it's used to get your guns back. Up until then, Arms Grace is going to be in your inventory for however long you want it to be. Orange gumballs can last a short time. They can last a really long time. It really just depends on which one you have, and in that case scenario, it will help you in that sort of way. I think we're ready to get in the list. I think that's just about everything. Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and start it.
So at number 59 on the list, we have Firing on All Cylinders. This GobbleGum is very, very useless. And I say that emphatically because there's sliding in Black Ops 3. So shooting while sprinting is kind of irrelevant because you can just slide and shoot at the same time. This does work on the stabs and the bows too. If you need to shoot on the go, you can just slide and shoot. Number 58, I have Impatient. In hindsight, it doesn't sound that bad, but in reality, there's just so many other GobbleGums that are better than Impatient that do essentially what Impatient does, but better and in the same class. What it does is that it lets you spawn back in later in the round if you die. The thing is that you respawn with nothing, and the time that you respawn is not specific. So you just get thrown into the middle of the round, and you just have to try and get everything back with a pistol. Number 57, I have Unbearable. Unbearable's the worst Mega GobbleGum in this game, in my opinion, because there's just no real reason to use it. All it's going to do is whenever you get the teddy bear out of the mystery box, it's going to stay there. It's going to let you have like 1 free respin, and then whenever that's done, it's going to stay there for a few more spins, and then the box will just move again. But not only that, but again, there's a ton of other better options, so that's why I don't think Unbearable's that good. Number 56, I have Board Games. repairing barriers is just not something that's going to be relevant in Black Ops 3 zombies, really in zombies just in general, but Black Ops 3 especially. Maybe unlike Noct if you're playing like a casual game or Verruct, but other than that, not really. Board games, all it does is it lets you rebuild the barriers from one build and then just rebuilds the whole barrier, but you only get 10 points, so it's not a fast way to get points or anything like that. Number 55, I have Burned Out. I've heard some people say that Burned Out is underrated, and I don't really agree with that because Widow's Wine's in the game. There's no real reason to use this when Widow's Wine's in the game. Burned Out is going to activate twice. If you get hit, all the zombies around you will just burn to death. Players will get hit a lot in Black Ops 3, so Burned Out and the concept of it just doesn't work well at all. Now, if they made it to where it activated whenever you got red screened or something like that, then it would be a really good gobblegum, but unfortunately, they did not, and that's why it's this low on the list. Number 54, this one, it has potential to go higher, but it's just so inconsistent. It's Now You See Me. I like this gobblegum in concept, but every time I've used it, it has been so underwhelming, and it's just too situational. Also, other times where Now You See Me doesn't even really work that well. We were playing Origins. Matt was trying to get out of the corner near Gen 2, and he couldn't because the zombies were in his way. Even though I used Now You See Me, I used both of them. Not only that, but also monkey bombs exist. That's another way of just helping out your teammates. And also, there's a lot of other gobblegums that your teammates can use to help them get out of situations like that they should use that are also in the classic category. Number 53, I have Slaughter Slide. I respect Slaughter Slide in the idea of Banana Colada was supposed to be in the game, or the fans wanted it to be in the game rather, and Treyarch listened, and they at least put it into a gobblegum, so I do respect that. However, it's just not something you're going to be using in Black Ops 3, like, at all. It's a fun one, sorta, but as someone who likes to slide a lot in Black Ops 3, basically all it's going to do is whenever you slide, grenades are going to get thrown at the zombies, and they're just going to blow up, like, instantly. And so, for me, it's just not something I would like to use, but I do respect it. Number 52, Bored to Death. I think this is a little bit better than board games just for the simple fact of it can kill zombies in and outside of the barrier. So if you're at like a camping spot and you're near a barrier, it can actually kind of help you a little bit. It's still not that good, but it is a little bit better than board games. Number 51, I have Mind Blown. Mind Blown is not that bad. This is kind of the start of some of the ones that aren't bad, really. But the problem with Mind Blown is it just there's not many scenarios where you're going to really need to use Mind Blown. It's not a bad gobblegum, and you could definitely put it higher on this list. One thing I did see with Mind Blown is at first I thought it was not going to drop power-ups, but it actually does. It doesn't seem like it drops power-ups that often. But Mind Blown is not a bad gobblegum. It's respectable enough. Number 50, I have Crawl Space. Crawl Space, I don't really care for, but I do respect it in the sense that co-op high rounders are going to need this gobblegum in order to take breaks. It's good for the Void Bow Step 2, but more so the co-op high rounding. Something you may not know about Crawl Space is that Crawl Space does not actually hurt the zombies in any way, shape, or form. All it does is make them crawl. Let's say on like round 3 you have Crawl Space. It's going to still be a 3-knife kill. Number 49, we probably have our first hot take. Is this a hot take? I don't know. Head drama. The reason why I put head drama this low, it's not useful. Unless you're in the DE boss fight, it's not useful. Head drama is not great for main play, like high rounding. But if you're doing the Easter egg on Horizon Drek, I know it can definitely be helpful. But the problem is that there's a lot of other gobblegums that are useful in that boss fight as well. Some that are even better than head drama. We'll go over those in a little bit. Number 48, I have Danger Closest. The problem with Danger Closest is 1, it only lasts a few rounds compared to PhD Flopper. I know it's not PhD Flopper, but still. 2, the explosive weapons in Black Ops 3 really just aren't that necessary. The L4 Siege is pretty good, but it's kind of mid compared to every other gun in this game. The main use for Danger Closest that I've seen is the Horizon Drek boss fight. And I know it's good in the Go Rod boss fight too, but still. This is mainly a high round list. Number 47, I have Stock Option. Stock Option is a really good gobblegum, and it doesn't let you reload. It just takes ammo from the stock. But the problem I have with Stock Option is that it just lasts 3 minutes. I really like the gobblegum. If it lasted like 10-15 minutes, I'd put it so much higher. Number 46, I have Respin Cycle, which I think is also a little bit underrated, but again, there's so many other options for setting up and whatnot. If this was a classic gobblegum, because to me this really is more like a classic gobblegum, even though it is a mega. I really wish it was a classic because it would put it higher again. But with the Respin Cycle, basically what it's going to do is whenever you buy the box, you're going to be able to respin twice. So if you get something bad, you can just hit the respin button. It'll turn into something else. Number 45 and number 44, I'm going to combine together. Arms Grace and Coagulant. I have Arms Grace at 45, Coagulant 44. I do switch back and forth between these two a lot. I think these are solid gobblegums, especially for beginners in Black Ops 3 Zombies. And I do like the fact that you unlock them from the get-go whenever you play. I think what's good about these is that when you're playing co-op games, Arms Grace and Coagulant are very, very helpful in the sense of you can't get to your teammates and they're going to lose everything. So Coagulant, in that case scenario, makes it really easy to revive players because Coagulant, usually people are down for 45 seconds whenever they go down. With Coagulant, you're actually down for 2 minutes and 15 seconds, which makes it tremendously easier to revive players, which is why I like Coagulant so much, especially if you're playing a big map like Origins or Moon or something like that. Arms Grace makes it to where if you bleed out, then you just respawn with your weapons. One thing that's weird about Arms Grace is that and I found this out on Origins. I was playing with Matt the other day, and we had staffs and Mausers upgraded. Something that was weird was that he died with Arms Grace and respawned with a ray gun. I don't know why, but he respawned with a ray gun. I've used Arms Grace on other maps, and it's only a thing on Origins, it seems like. So I could be wrong. I'm about 99% sure I'm not. You respawn with a ray gun, and I don't know why that is, but I went and did some more testing on Derizendrack, and what I did was I built the lightning bow, and I tried to do a few different things, right? One of the things I tried to do was I just tried to use Arms Grace with like having a regular weapon in the bow. I respawned, and I respawned with my weapons, including the bow, which didn't really make sense to me. So I thought, maybe it's just an Origins thing, but let me test out a few more things. What I did next was I got the upgraded MR6. And the reason I got the MR6 upgraded was because I wanted to see if it was a starting pistol thing. So I had the MR6 upgraded and the lightning bow. I used Arms Race again, and I still had my weapons. I was thinking, what about Mule Kick? We had Mule Kick in Origins, so let's do that. And so I went and got Mule Kick and got a KRM off the wall, and tried it again and failed again. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just an Origins thing. I will also note that Arms Grace does not let you keep your Bowie knife if you have a Bowie knife, which kind of sucks. So overall, I think Coagulant is just a better option. The one thing I will say about it though is that Arms Grace lasts until you die, so you can hold on to it for however long you want to. And Coagulant lasts for 20 minutes, so it does last quite a while.
The only real thing that's stopping me from putting Arms Grace and Coagulant to be a little bit higher is the fact that they're only co-op usage. So yeah. Number 43, Killing Time. I know a lot of people love Killing Time, and to be honest with you, I think it's really fun to use, and I'm glad they added it in. But the problem is that it's just not a realistic gobblegum that you're going to use in an effective way. It's going to be more of a thing to use for fun, which I'm all good with that. But the thing is that this gobblegum is not a fantastic gobblegum. You can maybe find it for something, but nothing that's going to be significant to make it put it way higher on this list. So that's why I have to put it this low. Number 42, I have Always Done Swiftly. Always Done Swiftly is the first gobblegum that you see when you unlock Black Ops 3. Unlock Black Ops. You mean buy the freaking idiot, you stupid. All it's going to do is it's just going to make you have like a huge quick draw and stock effect. The problem I have with it, one, it doesn't work for sniper rifles, and two, there's just a lot of other classic gobblegums that you unlock along the way that can be better than Always Done Swiftly. I don't think it's a bad one by any means, but still yet, I think it would be a little bit lower on this list compared to the other classics especially. Number 41, I have Armamental Accomplishment, which is a lot similar to Always Done Swiftly, but I think it's just a little bit better. It's basically like a fast hands. What it does is it makes you drink perks faster, you throw grenades faster, you knife faster. Also, whenever you pack punch, you crack your knuckles faster, which is really nice, so you can get that animation out of the way. Basically, all of the animations are done faster, which is really nice. I think my favorite effect is the fact that when you throw monkey bombs, they are a lot faster. Kobe! I personally run this gobblegum quite a bit, actually, mainly as like my 5th slot if I can't get in plain sight or anywhere but here. It's a really nice one to have, to be honest with you. Number 40, I have Lucky Crit, which I actually think is a little bit overrated, but I do think it's still a useful gobblegum. People treat it as if the cooldown will decrease if you use it, which is simply not true. I've tested this plenty of times, and I've seen plenty of people use Lucky Crit, and there is no factual evidence to say otherwise. Each alternate ammo type has a specific percentage of when it will activate, and Lucky Crit, what it will do is make that percentage go up when you use Lucky Crit. It lasts a round and a half, which is not very long, is one of my problems with it as well. For me, I use double tap in pretty much every map. I use double tap a lot, and I know a lot of other people use double tap too. Double tap is also going to raise that percentage just a little bit, so if you have double tap, Lucky Crit isn't going to be as effective. However, if you're not using double tap, then I can understand why Lucky Crit will be in your gobblegum loadout, because it can be a little bit effective in those higher rounds, especially especially when rounds take forever to complete. If you do have evidence that Lucky Crit does decrease the cooldown of alternate ammo types, please let me know. But as far as I'm concerned, I have not seen one bit of evidence that proves otherwise. Number 39, I have Arsenal Accelerator. Again, another classic Gobblegum. All of these classics you can kind of argue in between because these are kind of like the mid-tier classic Gobblegums, but they're all kind of useful. Arsenal Accelerator makes your special weapon charge up faster when you have it, and it lasts 10 seconds. 10 seconds. What the? Last 10 minutes.
So if you're wondering how much does it charge it up by, I did go out and test this quite a bit. Arsenal Accelerator, on average, it's actually not consistent with all the specialist weapons, but on average, it's going to make the special weapon charge up about 30% faster, give or take. It really just depends on what map you're using it on and what specialist weapon you have. There will be another video later on down the line where I talk about the specialist weapons, and I will dive more into that. As for right now, put Arsenal Accelerator at the number 39 spot. Number 38, I have Swordflay, and I know this is more of an early game Gobblegum. The difference between this and Arsenal is that Arsenal Accelerator is not going to be useful in every single map because the Annihilator is in most of the Black Ops 3 maps. On those maps, the Annihilator is just not going to be useful for you in high rounds. Swordflay is really nice. It's going to be a 1 knife till round 8. Once it hits round 8, it'll be a 2 knife. Number 37, I cannot believe it made it this high on the list. Licensed Contractor. Licensed Contractor is complete trash on every map aside from Shangri-La and Moon. Those two maps, you can use them to manipulate your way to getting max ammos, and that's why Licensed Contractor is useful. Number 36, I have Who's Keeping Score. It's basically just 2 double points power-ups. Again, this is more of an early setup one. Number 35, I have I'm Feeling Lucky. More often than not, you'll probably get good power-ups from it. And even if you just get one really good power-up from it, so like for example, let's say you get 1 max ammo as one of the power-ups for it, that instantly makes this Gobblegum really, really good. Doesn't matter what the second power-up is, you already got a max ammo. But the thing is that most of the time, this drops pretty good power-ups, so that's why I'm going to put it here on the number 20. What am I on? Number 34, I have Disorderly Combat. I think this Gobblegum is really nice to use early game as well, but it's also just a fun one to use if you can't get your hands on weapons early on. The way that Disorderly Combat works is that if you have a gun in your hand, let's say just a regular weapon in your hand, and you activate Disorderly Combat, it will make it to where you just get random guns for 5 minutes. Every 10 seconds, it'll change. If you have a Pack-a-Punch weapon in your hands and you use this Gobblegum, the weapons that you randomly get will be Pack-a-Punched. And if you have a Pack-a-Punch weapon with a double Pack-a-Punch ability, your weapons will be Pack-a-Punched with a double Pack-a-Punch ability at random. There are certain stuff that you cannot do with Disorderly Combat. So, for example, you cannot pick up a Death Machine with Disorderly Combat active. You also cannot use things like the Hacker on Moon and stuff like that if Disorderly Combat is active. If there is a need to disactivate Disorderly Combat, you can do that by simply pressing up on the D-pad, and you will disactivate Disorderly Combat. You can definitely argue it to be higher or lower, but because of the whole random aspect of it, if you get a bad gun, it's why I won't really use this in a high round case scenario, but it is pretty good early on. Number 33, I have Extra Credit. Extra Credit is really nice to have because it's just instant points. It's going to give you 1,250 points for each drop, and there's 4 of them, so it's a 5,000 point drop. And if you have double points active, it's going to double that, so it will affect it. So you get 10,000 points instead of 5,000. Number 32, Secret Shopper. I think this Gobblegum is probably the most hated ultra rare mega, and I can see why, but I do think there is some usage for it. You can always have like the Dingo, the Draken, and you can go to a wall buy spot and buy ammo for your guns if you need it. For wall weapons, it's going to cost you 4,000 points to buy ammo off the wall with this, and with non-wall weapons, it's going to cost you 5,000 points to buy ammo off the wall. The reason that people hate this, and some of you already know, is you cannot buy ammo with your wonder weapons. I can see why they didn't do it in all honesty, because it would have been broken. It would have been probably a top 5 Gobblegum. Number 31, I have Temporal Gift. Temporal Gift, again, I think is a little bit underrated. I prefer this in Black Ops 4 because it's a classic, and I'm mostly just a classic kind of guy, but Temporal Gift, what it will do is it'll make your power-ups last twice as long. So rather than 30 seconds, it will last a minute. And also, if your power-up is dropped on the ground, it will also stay on the ground a lot longer. So for example, let's say you have a max ammo on the ground and you're trying to use a bunch of your ammo, right? It's going to stay there for a lot longer than just the amount of time that it usually does. Temporal Gift's not bad. The only issue I have with it is just it doesn't last very long. It only lasts a round and a half. Number 30, Dead of Nuclear Winter. All Dead of Nuclear Winter does, it activates 2 nukes. I think most people just use this on Ascension for the monkey rounds, and that's understandable. Number 29, I have Killjoy. Just the same as Dead of Nuclear Winter, but it's just insta-kills instead, where you get 2 of them. This is a lot better in the high round case scenario, though, because most of the time, you can use this to really speed through the rounds. So that's why I put it a little bit higher than Dead of Nuclear Winter. Number 28, I have Fear and Headlights. I don't think this is incredible for high rounds or anything, but I think this is mostly good for some of the boss fights and Easter eggs just in general. I know this can absolutely break some of those boss fights, especially in co-op when you mix it with other gobblegums, which is why I put it this high on the list. In all honesty, there's going to be people that put this a lot higher, and I'm not going to blame you for it, but the way this list is categorized, I kind of had to put it here. Number 27, Undead Men Walking. This is mostly an Easter egg gobblegum, not as much of the high rounds, so that's why it sits a little bit lower on the list. All it does is for 4 minutes, the zombies are going to walk at a really slow pace.
Number 26, I have Aftertaste. Aftertaste will last 3.5 rounds, and it will keep your perks after you are revived. Now, this actually does work in solo, but you have to have Quick Revive in order for this to work, and it will not keep your Quick Revive if you're playing solo. This helps mostly on co-op games whenever doing the Easter egg. There's been plenty of times where I've seen people use Aftertaste, and it's completely useless. And the reason why is because they'll play the 3.5 rounds, and they won't go down at all, and they end up wasting a mega gobblegum. I think it's mostly a precautionary gobblegum to take into boss fights. Number 25, Pop Shocks. Really, really helpful for taking out boss zombies like the Panzer and the Marvelous. All you gotta do is knife a boss zombie and it will die instantly with Pop Shocks. Plus you get 5 uses of this thing. It just doesn't really get talked about that much, which kind of surprises me because it's really a good gobblegum. I respect it a lot. It's a solid one. Number 24, I have Fatal Contraption, which just spawns in 2 Death Machine power-ups. The reason I think Death Machines are just a lot better than these other ones, especially like the Killjoy and the Dead of Nuclear Winter, is because Death Machines can be used in so many different fashions. Basically an insta-kill. But you can also use this to take out boss zombies too. Insta-kill doesn't really help with that. It can also be taken into boss fights and can really help. I think Fatal Contraption is just so versatile, and that's why I put it this high on the list. Number 23, oh my gosh, I'm going to trigger so many people with this one. Ephemeral Enhancement. The reason I put Ephemeral Enhancement this high on the list is because it can give you ammo back for your Wonder Weapon, sorta. Now, if you're on a high round and the Wonder Weapon is a box weapon, this can really help you, and the reason why is because if you're on a really high round and you run out of ammo and you trade your Wonder Weapon back into the box and re-get it, it's an unpack-a-punched weapon. Let's just use the let's use the Thunder Gun. Let's use the Thunder Gun for example, because everybody knows what the Thunder Gun is. You're using the Thunder Gun. You just got it out of the box. You haven't pack-a-punched it yet, and you're using most of the ammo on it, and you've got about 4 shots left. Let's say you have Ephemeral Enhancement. It turns into a pack-a-punch Thunder Gun, full ammo, and you can use this for 60 seconds. Whenever you're done using this, you will have full ammo, as long as you don't use too much of it. A Zeus Cannon, which is the Pack-a-Punch Thunder Gun, is going to have 4/24. That's going to be 28, which the regular Thunder Gun has 2/12. That's 14. Whenever you use Ephemeral Enhancement, don't spam your Wonder Weapon. You want to use it properly, right? But you don't want to spam it to the point where you're wasting ammo. Whenever you get done using the 60 seconds with the Wonder Weapon, it's actually super, super helpful. The moment you get it back, and if you didn't use that much ammo, your Wonder Weapon will have full ammo. Make sure you don't use more than the specific amount for the Unpack-a-Punch version that's maxed out. So, for example, the Thunder Gun has 14 shots in it, maximum, right? Make sure you leave 14 ammo for the Thunder Gun in your Zeus Cannon. Once that's over, Thunder Gun will be filled up. Also, you get 2 activations of this, so this is really going to help you out. It's basically a dollar store version of Alchemical Antithesis at a higher price. That doesn't make sense, but somehow makes sense. Number 22, I have Profit Sharing. I really like Profit Sharing, but the problem is that in order to max out this usage, you have to have a 4-player game. If you're playing solo, useless. If you're playing 2-player, it's not bad, but it's not great either. If you're playing 3-player, it's really good, and if you're playing 4-player, that's when you're going to want to max out. Number 21, I have Unquenchable. Unquenchable is really good for solo, especially high rounding. You can just get a 5th perk, you pick it, and this works not only as a 5th perk, but it can work as a 6th perk. It can work as a 7th perk, an 8th perk. But the one that I have to put higher than Unquenchable is, of course, On the House, which is our number 20 spot, which works in just so many other ways. If you're in solo high rounding, use Unquenchable, because you get to pick what perk you want. However, On the House is more useful in co-op games because everyone gets a free perk. It's also more helpful in starting room challenges. So if you're doing a starting room challenge, On the House will just give you a free perk because you can't leave the room. Number 19 spot, Phoenix Up, which I know people are going to argue that this should be higher, but I'm going to disagree slightly just because of the criteria of this video. Phoenix Up, for starters, not useful in solo at all. It's useful in co-op, especially in Easter egg runs. It can come in really, really clutch. However, rather than everybody just running a Phoenix Up for their teammates, I just think there's other gobblegums that can become more helpful for saving each other, rather than just using a Phoenix Up whenever that someone goes down. I just think there's other options, man. I think it's good, but I just think there's better gobblegums. Number 18, I think this might be another controversial one, Flavor Hexed. The reason I put Flavor Hex this high on the list is because I have used this a little bit, and in all honesty, this gives you some really good Gobblegums. It gives you 2 random mega Gobblegums that are not in your pack. There's been plenty of times where it'll drop a Perkaholic, or it'll drop a Shopping Free, or it'll drop a just really, really amazing Gobblegum. And that's just 1 drop, right? It gives you 2. There are plenty of times where I've seen somebody just get 2 of like the greatest Gobblegums in this game, and it turns into the greatest Gobblegum in the game. So it has so much potential, but because of its inconsistencies, I have to put it lower on the list. Number 17, Immolation Liquidation. Again, I think people would put this higher, but because it's a setup Gobblegum, I'm going to put it a little bit lower. I think there's other ones that really help in the high rounds. You can basically get the guns that you want on round 1. Whether it's solo, whether it's co-op, it doesn't really matter. Easter egg runs, high round run. It can also be used in Moon and Shangri-La as a free max ammo if you want to use it like licensed contractor, because there are 3 activations for it. Number 16, Anywhere But Here. This is our 3rd place Gobblegum for classic category. Anywhere But Here is obviously a fantastic Gobblegum. Obviously, everyone knows that Anywhere But Here can save your freaking life. It has 2 activations, can teleport you to a random location on the map. Very, very good. However, among other things, this can be used in speed runs. It can also be really helpful if your teammate is across the map and you cannot get to them in time to revive them whenever they go down. So you use an Anywhere But Here to try to get closer to them, and it really saves their life. Anywhere But Here is just fantastic, and I think people know what's coming up next at number 15, so I'm just going to go ahead and get straight into that. In Plain Sight is our number 15 spot. And the reason I put In Plain Sight just a little bit higher is because, 1, In Plain Sight, you get it from the get-go. 2, In Plain Sight is going to be really helpful for reviving teammates that are really close to you if you do not have monkey bombs. You can activate it in a co-op game. Teammate goes down, you'll be invisible. You can get an easy revive off. 3, In Plain Sight is going to be useful into boss fights, while Anywhere But Here is not. In Plain Sight is going to be more useful in areas where you cannot teleport with Anywhere But Here. Because if you're doing like a starting room challenge, there's plenty of starting rooms where Anywhere But Here is just not going to work at all. It will not let you teleport. In Plain Sight will let you use it though. So because of that, that's why I put In Plain Sight just a little bit higher. Number 14, I have Cashback. Cashback is going to give you a max ammo. That's really that simple. It'll be really helpful on maps where you're high rounding and where you just need ammo. It's a great Gobblegum. Can't really say much more about it. Number 13, I have Soda Fountain. Soda Fountain is going to be basically a Walmart version of Perkaholic, but you actually have to work for it. You have to buy your perks. You get a free perk every time you do, and you basically get all the perks in the game, which is going to be really helpful for setting up and really helpful for obviously getting all the perks in the game. Number 12, Perkaholic. Yeah, I know, it didn't make the top 10, let alone top 5. I think some people are going to be surprised by that. The reason I put Perkaholic this low on the list is because it's a setup Gobblegum. I prioritize ones that are going to help you in the high rounds, actually. And plus, most of the perks in this game aren't actually that necessary. Most of them are, actually, but some of them aren't. I don't need Deadshot Daiquiri to go in high rounds. Electric Cherry is cool, but it's not needed. Same with Speed Cola, especially if you're training. Speed Cola is just not going to be something that you really need. Sure, it's cool to have an extra perk or 2 if you want, and if you need that, you can just use Unquenchable. Number 11, Idolize. Idolize is basically In Plain Sight just on mega steroids. Rather than getting 2 activations with In Plain Sight, you get 3 activations with this. In Plain Sight has 10 seconds activations. This has 30-second activations. In Plain Sight is just for you to go invisible. Idolize is for your whole team to go invisible. Yeah, this is kind of broken. I'm not going to lie. I've seen this used in some Easter egg runs as well, and it just decimates Nikolai in the Go Rod boss fight. But also, among other things, it's incredibly useful for high rounding, especially if you're in co-op. Number 10, I have Bullet Boost. Bullet Boost is extremely helpful in this game because Noct, Verrucht, and Shinonuma are maps on this game, and there's no Pack-a-Punch machine on those maps. And if you're going to want a high round, you're going to need Bullet Boost. But obviously, you cannot get Bullet Boost unless you have a Pack-a-Punch weapon, which is why it's at our number 10 spot, and our next 2 spots include Crate Power and Wall Power. I have Wall Power at number 9, and I have Crate Power at number 8. And the reason why I have Crate Power ahead of Wall Power is because, although Wall Power is good, you can choose what wall weapon you want. With Crate Power, you can get the Wonder Weapon out of the box, Pack-a-Punched, and if you're just wanting a wall weapon Pack-a-Punched, you can open the box with Crate Power, and you can get a wall weapon out of the mystery box with Crate Power, Pack-a-Punched, and you're not going to need Wall Power. If anything, I actually think Bullet Boost has an argument for Wall Power, but Crate Power is definitely the best of these 3. Number 7, the best classic Gobblegum in the game,
alchemical antithesis. Hey, so you want a gumball that's going to give you infinite ammo for 60 seconds? Yeah, that sounds pretty good. And also the gumball after you're done with the 60 seconds. So after you're done with the 60 seconds, your gun's going to have max ammo. Is that cool? Yeah, that sounds great. Oh, by the way, you get 2 activations for that. That's freaking overpowered. Yeah. And it's a classic gobblegum. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with Alchem. I love Alchem, but as much as I love Alchem, it really needed a nerf. I'm not gonna lie, with how good this is, there's a reason they nerfed this in Black Ops 4. No way this should be a classic gobblegum. No way. Number 6, Raindrops. Raindrops is really good. All it's gonna do is it's gonna have 2 activations of dropping every power-up in the game. This includes a perk bottle, this includes a max ammo, double points, Insta-Kill, Death Machine, Fire Sale, Carpenter. It's got everything. I've seen this mainly used a lot in speedrunning. Basically, a power-up drop of whatever they need. They can get everything from that. Also get a free perk from it as well. Now, on to the top 5. I'm just going to sit here and tell you, if you use the top 5 for high rounding, I don't freaking like you at all. Number 5, Shopping Free. Now, Shopping Free can be used as an early game gobblegum, so you're probably wondering why it's this high on the list. The reason why is because if you use it as a late round gobblegum, that's when it becomes super broken, especially whenever you want to buy gobblegums for like 1,000,000 points, and it's not going to take anything away from you because you have Shopping Free. Mainly because of the gobblegums ahead of this, Shopping Free is so overpowered, which is why it's at the number 5 spot. Number 4, Self-Medication. If you're wondering why there's no gameplay for self-medications, because I freaking refuse to use this gobblegum along with the other top 3. The only reason I have gameplay for the top 3 is because I got it from Flavor Hexed. You get 3 self-revives with this, and you keep your perks every time. Basically, you have to get a kill while you're down, but you can just use a Dead Wire, RK5, or LCAR, whatever you buy off the wall. That is why self-medication is broken. Number 3, Round Robin. Just don't even play the game. You skip the round that you're on. And some people think, that's pretty simple. It can't be that good, right? Well, when you're on a round 100 run, you're on like round, I don't know, 97, a round that's probably going to take about 10 to 20 minutes depending on what map you're on, and that just gets erased with 1 gobblegum usage. That's freaking ridiculous, dude. Number 2, Near-Death Experience. Now, I know some people argued that this is the best gobblegum in the game. I'm going to disagree slightly with that. I think it's the 2nd best gobblegum in the game. It's going to last 3.5 rounds. In solo, you are invincible with this gobblegum as long as you have Quick Revive. You can down as many times as you want, and you will not lose your perks or anything. Yeah, it's broken. And it's also really good in co-op, but I think the number 1 spot works a little bit better in co-op, and even in solo. I'll talk about that here in a second. Number 1, I have Power Vacuum. And the reason I have Power Vacuum at number 1, compared to Near-Death Experience, which lasts 3.5 rounds, Power Vacuum lasts 4.5 rounds. Power Vacuum is going to make you invincible pretty much. You're going to get unlimited drops pretty much with Death Machines, Insta-Kills, nukes, max ammo. You're going to kill every zombie with an Insta-Kill Death Machine all round for 4.5 rounds. And this works on co-op too. Yeah, so I think Power Vacuum is much stronger than Near-Death Experience. I have never used a Power Vacuum. I've had friends use one, and that's why I don't use them, because they break the game. As you can tell by my voice and by the way I sound and all that kind of stuff about these super overpowered gobblegums, I'm not really a big fan of them. That's kind of obvious. I mostly just use classics. I kind of just stick with those because I think it's more fun to play zombies with just classic gobblegums. That's my opinion. Some of you may have a different opinion. That's totally fine. So yeah, this was the whole ranking of the classic and mega gobblegums. Hopefully you enjoyed the list. I do have a couple other videos planned. I know I've got the World at War ranking all the weapons video planned. The Black Ops 3 Specialist weapon video, that's going to come out sometime soon. Yeah, I think this is probably the end of the video. If you have questions, you can always feel free to ask in the comments below. I may get a Discord started here soon for YouTube. If that's what you guys want, we can do that. But just let me know in the comments. All right. Hope you guys had fun with the list. I'll talk to y'all later. See ya.